And we're going to jump over to another job and look at doing lot network using the road network function in combination with an inside survey. So again, we're going to start like we would with most by creating our lot network settings, which begins by creating a lot network file. Go ahead and open that. We have our basic parameters, frontage going away, automatic updates. I'm going to turn these line labels off again at this point. Don't need all those labeled up front. We can look at our building parameters and see that we're drawing our driveways. We've got our setbacks established, all ready to go. So now with our settings done, we can go ahead and set our boundary. Once our boundary is set, then we're going to click on this button to go into our road network. We need to name our road network project. Road network comes up as a doc dialog box. Some of you may be familiar with road network from the civil side. This is going to look a little bit different. We do want to go into the settings here first. And this is one of the places, if you have run the civil version, it looks wildly different. Very simple setup here. We have our intersection radiuses. We are going to be prompted if we change design to reprocess the design. The right-of-way snap boundary tolerance is 5 feet. So if this line were sloping and it kind of bounced these off for the right-of-way and they didn't reach, it's going to be trying to forgive about 5 feet on that. Create lots. In this case, we're going to go back to our 0.4 acres. Don't ask me why I like 0.4 acres, I just do. Minimum frontage of 75 feet. Our lot depths, running perpendicular to the right-of-way, adding extras to the last lot. Checking our building placement, again with our setback parameters. So now we add our roads. We'll go in and add. If we'd gone through and created center lines previously for these, we could use that. But in this case, we'll go ahead and just screen pick the polyline, grab this first one here, and assign a center line file to it. I'm going to call this Road 1. And again, this is going to look different than the civil one. We're not prompted for a profile, and we don't have nearly as many options. But we will set up some right-of-way offsets. We use the same ones for each road, so we'll just call this Clearwater. We can edit that. So our right-of-way, I'm going to set at 25 feet. And that's the right-of-way for this road. I can have additional offsets. So I can do things like come in and do an edge of pavement, put it on a layer edge of pavement, give it an offset of say 12 feet. I can add another one that we'll call back of curb, put it on a back of curb layer, and we'll put that at 13.5 feet. So we have a 18-inch curb on this. And if we want to, we could even go in and add another one for our sidewalk. Put it on a layer called, let's just get carried away with typing here and do sidewalk again. And we'll put that at 17.5, so we have a 4-foot wide sidewalk. Okay, so all these lines will be drawn simultaneously with our right-of-ways. Template point center lines, would allow us to set up files with other center lines out here to manipulate the width of the right-of-ways as we're going through and processing this. But we'll skip those today. So there's our first road. We can actually go in now, and when we click add, we have different options. We can do roads or cul-de-sacs. We can add a cul-de-sac on road 1 at the end. Just do a standard, maybe 50-foot diameter, 25-foot radiuses. And so we can click on that and see the cul-de-sac on the end of the road there. That's just a symbol it uses to mark what you're looking at. It's not the size of the cul-de-sac. Go back and add, and we'll add a second road in here. Again, screen picking. Assign the centerline file to it. Anybody want to guess what we're calling this one? Road 2. It grabs our Clearwater right-of-way offset, so it'll have the same offsets. We've added road 2, but we also added an intersection between road 1 and 2. So it's picking those up automatically. Add our last road. Now the end I pick at doesn't matter. The stationing on this last road would go in the direction of the polyline, whatever direction it was drawn in. And we get road 3. And we pick up the 2 intersections associated with road 3. Go ahead and save my road network settings here. Our lots are set up to be created. Our right-of-ways and offsets are set up to be created. This method can be really quick. Guess I should have subtitled this one, How to Shorten a Webinar. These have actually come in all pretty well. Got a little glitchy up here. Got a little hiccup there. But generally speaking, okay, I got this little guy. And again, we ran into the problem of it's just a little too small to be 2 lots normally. And this one has the leftover, same kind of situation. So you can either decide that these are going to be great big massive ones, or maybe if this is the entrance, you want to create a little park here. And so we shrink this one down to 0.4. Reminder of how we do that. We make sure we're on our lot edge layer. Draw a polyline. From here, perpendicular to here. And then we add the lot edge. Okay. This is a little bit bigger than 0.4. So what we're going to do is use our sliding side. Make sure we're in acres. There we go. Now, always good to do things that you didn't practice for your webinar. And we want to tag a no building area. See, that'll teach me. But in essence, I don't want to have any housing in here. So let's see, sub areas. Select polyline for sub area. Okay, so it's looking for a closed polyline. We'll get rid of all that. When in doubt, create the closed polyline. Draw boundary polyline. So now there's actually a polyline that runs all the way around this. So we can go in and do our area layout, tag no build area, and I have the polyline I can select. And it says we're done. So now we won't get a building there. We can designate that as park space. All right. Again, we can go through and renumber all of these if we need to. I'm not sure where it started. It looks like it's a little haphazard in there, so let's go ahead and do that. Area layout, renumber lots. We'll start at lot 1. We can bounce across the street. Okay, I got a little haphazard there. We'll see how that all works out in the end. So we still got our setback here, numbered the lot, but we have 40 lots. And again, at this point, same thing we saw before, we can come in and turn on our labels. And tell it to update the network labels and label all of our bearings and distances and curves for us. So that's 2 different ways that you can go ahead and get your lots set up in a network. Again, you can output this to a lot file at this point. Where it gets interesting is if you're actually going to go from just the simple layout and the plat that's going to go into the county to be recorded, if it's going to stay in your office to go through the final design, setting up the roadway profiles, doing the overlot grading and all of that work, this is where this method can have advantages, because if I jump to my civil module, and I'm going to do this briefly because this should probably be its own webinar because of the options available here, and I go to my roads menu and open up road network, you'll notice it recognizes the same road network. And this dialog looks almost identical, and it has all of our tools in it, our center lines and intersections. We start to notice differences when we go to the settings. It's looking for an existing ground surface that it's going to tie the roadway down to. With your ground surface set and your roads in with their profiles, then you can elevate the pads and tell the pads that they want to match the highest elevation of the road going along their frontage, the middle elevation, or the lowest, or you can specify a reference point that they should be using. You can also elevate the lots, which takes the lot lines and raises those up. And you can set parameters for how those get raised up to create your overlot grading. So there's some of the differences there. You also have differences when you edit the road. Before, we had the center line and the right-of-way offsets, but now we have all of the other controls here for the profiles, design templates, transitions, grade tables. All of those things are available here. So the idea is that it's mad because I didn't give it a profile. That's okay. We started this using the road network inside survey, and we got a lot of the core information available that now can move on to the folks doing the civil design with this project. I don't think I want to save the changes. Don't need those. All right. So that's 2 different ways you can lay out lots. There's a third scenario that comes up, and that is somebody else laid the lots out for you. Your client hired a planner who went out and laid out all these lots and They think his layout is beautiful and they don't want it adjusted. So I have a drawing here that has a number of lots on it that have been laid out already. And we can utilize this. So we can go in and go to our survey menu. Okay, truth told, we could cheat and do it even here because we have lot network in our civil menu as well, but I'm going back to the survey menu for this. Area layout, and I would simply want to create lots. I'm going to pick an interior point to do that. Now you notice it wants to create a lot file automatically and name it the same thing as my drawing. I'll go ahead and accept that. If we're doing a lot file, it's going to want a coordinate file, so it has a place to put the points that it's going to set on all the various corners and center points for arcs in this area. So we'll open that. And then you have options that have it draw points, prompt you for block names. I'm just going to tell it to combine common angles and be done with that. So now I simply pick inside a lot. There's the lot it found. It wants to call that 1. And we can just keep going, and well, there's lot 2. I'm just hitting enter to accept the lot name. Okay, so we'll start with those. So what have I got? That doesn't seem like I've really accomplished a whole heck of a lot there. Well, if I go back to the area layout and go to my lot file manager, all those lots are in my lot file manager. If I select all of these, I can draw them. And now you can see I very quickly come through and created all these lots. Okay, I got something a little bit weird here with these radiuses. So that's when we go in and move our label with a leader. Add one down here too. Just to kind of clean that up a little bit, make it look nicer. So if you're getting the lot layouts from somebody else, I can generate this data very quickly to put that together on this end. Periodically, as we do these webinars, as you're going along, you realize, ooh, I forgot to show some things. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and I'm going to jump back, and I could go to either one of these two. Couple of other items down here. We updated labels before. You can create a lot network report. The summary is pretty basic, but if you use the report formatter, you get to pick which things you want to see here, and you can add and remove them from the list. Lot type's not going to be very interesting. So we'll go ahead and just view that. And so here's our lots, our sizes, and our frontages. If we do the basic report, it's going to tell us how many lots we have and so on, what the total area of our site is. And there's also a lot network inspector. So up in the corner here, it's going to tell me about whatever lot I happen to be hovering over. So it's a way to go in and just double check your designs, make sure everything's working the way you want it to.